I'll grab the sheep. So I think it's fair to say that life, as we experience it, assuming you're somebody between like 20 to 30 years of age, has sped up immensely over the last, let's just say, 2 generations. As in, there are people alive today who remember growing their own food and sustaining themselves somewhat of that food. But now that's changed completely, and what used to be that sort of sustenance farming has been replaced by supermarkets. So that's just an example of how immensely different the world has become within a relatively short period of time. Come on, ladies. So, but this change in lifestyles, rapid change in lifestyles, is reflective of a trend. The rate of change in life has increased, as in the rate at which change occurs has increased. It's not that change has occurred, it's that change is occurring at an ever increasing rate as we continue to move forward in time. So then the question naturally arises. It's like, what can we do about this as individuals whose software, much less our hardware, is not adapted to the hyper-novel modern landscapes that we find ourselves in, the hyper-novel modern environments that we find ourselves in? Can we do anything about this, first off? If so, what can we do about this? And I'm going to suggest we can do something about this, and it is voluntarily pursuing those activities that you might consider low stimulus activities.
Oh yes! What a time to be alive. Let's talk about low stimulus activities and dangerous writing. Come on, how can writing be dangerous? Writing is so innocuous and so innocent an activity. It's like, how can that be dangerous? It's words on a page. But that being said, words on a page are the very things that significantly alter the course of events in history. The psychotechnology that is writing and literacy, reading, is immensely powerful. But the strange thing about it is that it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel immensely powerful in the same way that grabbing an axe and just putting it through the back of somebody's skull feels immensely powerful. Have you read Crime and Punishment? There's a scene in that where Dostoevsky sort of describes what it's like to break open a skull with an axe. That's clearly dangerous in a different way to the danger of writing. Because here's the problem. When writing proves to be dangerous, you don't see its effects. What does that mean? It means, say, take for example, some sort of a correspondence between military generals on opposing teams. And one military general goes, bang, 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 bang. He writes out something and he's like, do not start war. Or else. No, that's too threatening. He says something in his email or his letter correspondence, whatever it is, that happens to dampen the opposition's lust for war. And so that writing was dangerous because it just stopped war. War is dangerous. And so you can see there's like an indirect link from the writing to the war and a direct link from the writing to the prevention of said war. But because we don't get to see what we like classically understand to be dangerous, you know, people pummeling each other and just ripping each other to shreds, we don't think of the direct link from the prevention of that danger to the writing. We don't think of the writing as itself dangerous, but it is. So it may seem like innocuous words on a page, but the real world effects are there. You just have to develop the eyes to see them. Okay, now let's get on to low stimuli activities. I spoke in a previous video. I think it was the previous video and that was called, oh no, yeah. That's called something like recalibrate yourself. I spoke about recalibrating your baseline. So if your baseline, consider, what is a baseline? Your baseline is your expectations. It's what you expect. The baseline expectations. It's like the minimum of your expectations are your baseline. So if for example, your baseline is clean air, clean water, good food, anything below that will depress you. Anything better than that will cause you to feel some sort of joy. Now think about baselines in the area that is activities that you decide to do. When, for example, you resort to scrolling on your phone through whatever social media that you have, and you find yourself being hooked, you find your attention being grabbed, hooked, and captured. You could call that a hyper-stimulatory activity, because it's hyper-stimulating your attention, and it causes you to just stay scrolling for some people hours on end. That is insane, but it's happening across the world. Whereas, on the other hand, you could pick up the pen and grab a piece of paper and start writing. Completely different activity. Nowhere near as stimulatory in terms of its effects on the nervous system of the body. But if you wean yourself off the hyperstimulatory thing, the scrolling, onto the far less stimulatory thing, the writing or the reading, you reset your baseline and you realize, oh, I can actually feel fairly content in doing this, what I otherwise would have considered boring activity. And I don't feel the really bad feelings that I tend to feel post hyperstimulatory scrolling activity. You have just stoically, once again, taken back some control of your life, and you've said, no, I will not let these social media companies rob my attention, and I will focus my attention on something that will bring some sort of benefit to me in some direct or indirect way, whether that be reading a book that unlocks insights and revelations that causes you to see the world in a much clearer way, or whether it be writing on a piece of paper your thoughts that once you spew them out onto the paper, they become much clearer to you, and now you become much more capable of articulating said thoughts, and you become much more well understood by the people around you, and you're no longer fumbling about in this crazy world thinking, what's going on? There's the benefits of that low stimulus activity. And maybe you will also figure out that the war of our age, Tyler Durden got it right.
We have no great war, no great depression. Our great war is a spiritual war. Our great depression is our lives.
He said, war in our age, in our modern times, is not kinetic. He said something along the lines of this. It's spiritual. It's spiritual, man. He was right. You have to wage war on yourself. Merciless war on yourself. You have to, when you find yourself resorting to the hyperstimulatory thing, say, you weak fucker, what are you doing? Don't do that. Do the other thing. Or, for me, sometimes it's just like, do fuck all. Just sit there and just look around. And I find that impulse to do the hyperstimulatory thing corrects itself because my baseline is lower, and I can just chill out in the literally doing nothing. Well, I'm looking around and I'm sat down somewhere. So I'm doing something. But you get what I mean. There you have it. Another video banged out. Yeah, maybe let me append this point to the end of this video. One thing I think a lot more people should be doing is the likes of this video essay sort of things. Articulating yourself, speaking your mind, saying it to the camera, and then uploading it to the online place. to the cyberspace that is the interweb place. Why? Because that internet thing is so useful, or it can be. We need to develop the skills and the toolkit necessary to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff in terms of what we consume online. And the more people that pick up the camera and speak their mind and speak sort of complex thoughts, the greater the attractive basin towards this new way of using the internet will be. And then hopefully it just clicks into like a virtuous upcycle where it's like a snowball rolling down a mountain. It picks up its own momentum and it becomes something immense, unstoppable, and dangerous. So yeah, that was the point that I want to append at the end of this video is, here's a low stimulus activity that's actually quite fun when you get like half decent at speaking your mind. It's quite fun to be able to articulate yourself and be like, oh nice, I just translated that thought that exerted a major like emotional effect on me. I just translated it into the English language and transmitted it to other people's consciousnesses through the technology that is this camera, that laptop, and the interweb cyberspace. That is trippy. What time is it? 8:05 in the morning. That's a trippy thought to have first thing in the morning. But it's true. So get on it. Will I do a call to action now? No. I don't care if you think this is right or wrong. Just do it and see if it works for you.